Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Whole Wellness. My name is Anne, and I appreciate you tuning in to this channel today. Today's video is a little bit of a segue off of the gaslighting series that I'm in the middle of, and video number 3 will be coming soon. But there's been something that's been weighing heavily on my heart that I wanted to share with you, and it has to do with the video I uploaded a couple weeks ago with regards to my mom and the messenger exchange that we had, wherein I discovered and had one of those aha moments where I went, oh my gosh, I saw very clearly that my mom is a covert narcissist. So for years, for my entire life, I knew that my mom was codependent, never really knowing what that meant. And in the last several years that I've been studying mood disorders and character disorders, I have since realized that my mom likely has borderline personality disorder as well. And yet, for so long, I've been feeling deep down inside that just wasn't quite enough of an explanation for me, which if you are walking through some healing, some recovery from whatever kind of abuse, whether it be narcissistic abuse, childhood abuse from alcoholic parents, whatever the case may be, I'm pretty confident that you will be able to relate to that desire to want to understand what happened. And in order to understand what happened and the why and the how you got to be who you are today and why you struggle today because of past events and how it affected you and how it impacted you and how it changes over time, it helps to understand exactly what, essentially, for lack of a better explanation, is just a bad person, is a poisonous person, is a toxic person, is a person who lacks respect for others, lacks character and integrity, lacks accountability, and uses people and abuses people and discards people very carelessly and shamelessly, has basically no conscience during or after their interactions with people. And I had felt good when I realized, wow, my mom probably has borderline personality disorder, because we, as children, me and my siblings, heard about her fear of abandonment, which is a hallmark characteristic of a person with borderline personality disorder, from the time we were little through and including adulthood. So, but after I discovered, or realized, I should say, through my own studying and research that, my mom has borderline personality disorder, I've still received so much clarity. But even in the weeks and months that passed after I learned that, I still felt that something else was wrong, that I was still missing something that would explain more accurately what I've been dealing with my whole life. Leading up to the exchange that I had with my mom, I had been praying. I'm a praying woman, desperately sought understanding, and I just wasn't there. There were still so many facets of my relationship with my mom that just didn't quite hit the mark with borderline personality disorder. She definitely shows the characteristics for borderline personality disorder, particularly the fear of abandonment and being self-destructive. That describes my mom to a T. Meanwhile, I was struggling with not quite feeling like that was the full explanation. And so there were, over the last year, there have been times where I've really been weighted down with, frustration over not understanding, and other times where it's kind of gotten pushed aside because I was busy or dealing with some other speed bump or other struggles with my mental health. But in that exchange with my mom, she accused me for the 1,000th time in my life of talking about her. But this time it was a little bit different because, yes, I used to talk about my mom to my sister, to my dad, very little to my dad, but to other friends, and always, always, always it was a desperate plea and cry for help because my brain could not comprehend why I was so desperate for a relationship with my mom, a loving, healthy, mutually supportive and respectful and encouraging and soul bolstering, loving relationship with my mom that never, ever, ever came to fruition, no matter how hard I tried. And I would over and over and over and over and over and over and over again get so frustrated. Holy crap. Oh my gosh, there's like, I can't pick my camera up in time to show you, but those look like, I don't know what just went flying over my head, but they were very low. They were airplanes. There were 2 airplanes, but they had like propellers on the front, like they were historical airplanes, not like real jets. But there's nowhere near me that's an airport. So that was very interesting. They must be practicing or training or something. Sorry to get segued off the topic for a moment there. To get back on track, I always talked about my mom to others as a way for me to deal with my mom and her abuse of me. I never, ever, ever, ever in my life have ever think about it logically. What child ever genuinely wants to and desires to harm their parent? In some extreme cases, maybe a very bent person, a very destroyed person would do that. But as a general rule, no child, no young person, no person would ever want to intentionally harm their parent. But my mom, when she has accused me of talking about her, she always had a twist to her accusation, as though I intended harm to her, as though it was my fault that she was hurt, as though it was my fault that she did not have the life that she always dreamed of, as though I had ruined everything for her. And none of this had occurred to me before. It's only recently come to me where I'm like, wow, my mom has placed on my shoulders, squarely placed it right here on my shoulders, the weight, the heavy, heavy, heavy weight of her own unhealed trauma, by accusing me in every breath, every time I turn around, of something nasty and horrible and damaging towards her, singularly towards her, intentionally towards her. And she adds a twist to it occasionally where it's me trying to make myself look better. Whoa, there we go. There's another aha moment. Oh my gosh. Well, what I just realized is that narcissistic ex-coworker of mine on that job, where she was jealous of me and she would accuse me of things and she would come after me and antagonize the crap out of me. She's my mom. Wow. I need to think about that more. I'm trying to stay on topic, and I'm like, oh my gosh. accusing me of things I haven't done, coming after me for no reason, making me feel like I'm a complete jackass, that I'm trying to take her job, trying to ruin her life, trying to destroy all her hopes and dreams, when I'm not. My mom has relentlessly pursued blaming me or saddling me with the hurts of her life. That's one of the things my siblings don't understand, and that is hard to even try to describe to them, because I have 4 brothers and a younger sister. I was the firstborn girl. When I was really little, my mom loved having a little girl. I was like her little doll, her little princess, because she had 2 boys. But then when I began to have my own mind and I began to be a separate person, it was a horrible, horrible development of a relationship that just made no sense to me as a child, because my mom hated me and was jealous of me and resented any positivity that came from my relationship with my dad. So I suspect that she probably did things or made efforts to destroy my relationship with my dad, probably even told him things about me that weren't true. But sorry, just overwhelmed right now with, wow, things making so much sense, so much clarity. It's like a waterfall, like someone opened the floodgates and everything is just spewing. So my mom and I, when I was young, when I got out of that phase of being her cute little doll or her Barbie that she would dress up with, and I started to become a separate person from her, and she realized that she didn't like that. My mom had love for me, but she did not know how to love. And I was everything she was not. And she felt like she was a horrible person. She had been raised to not love herself. Her dad treated her very poorly, and she was not protected by her mom. And so, and I don't know the whole story about my mom's own trauma. She won't talk about it. So I grew up, and this is, like I touched about my siblings, they don't understand what it was like from my perspective to be my mom's firstborn daughter. They don't even believe that I'm who I am, that I'm a kind, gentle, loving soul with a beautiful heart. There's so many wrong opinions and misrepresentations amongst themselves, probably fueled by my mom, because as we all know, and this never occurred to me before, it's only been in the last couple of days that I've realized my mom has been accusing me. This is what the narcissist does, right? We know this, but it never occurred to me. In all my studying, it never occurred to me that all the time my mom was accusing me of talking about her when I wasn't, at least not in an intentionally derogatory or harmful way. She has been doing it about me. She has had a smear campaign about me for however long, however many years. And that is likely how my family, my siblings, came to form such opinions about me. And that's so unfortunate. But that is also their responsibility. As I've mentioned before, I've gone to every single member of my family, at least once, multiple members, several times, in an effort to try to talk to them about the fact that I got counseling, to see if they were willing to hear what I had to say or to talk about it, in order to help them. And every single time it's fallen on deaf ears. I'm rejected, I'm shut down. So I don't try. I don't even bother with them anymore. And I have spent so much time putting my relationship with my mom under a microscope to try to figure out what's wrong or what I can possibly do. And I have, for many, many years, for my whole entire life, tried to have a relationship with my mom. And I never understood why it couldn't happen. Like, the history, and I'm talking because I'm 51, like this has been 50 years, well, maybe 45 years of me trying so hard to have a relationship with my mom, wanting to have a friendship with my mom, wanting to be able to talk to her, wanting to confide in her and get her advice as a mother, wanting to esteem her, wanting to have her in my boys' lives, wanting her over for dinner and to celebrate holidays and to take care of her and to help her in some way, since she and my dad have divorced. And it just always ends up with her inflaming me, the things she says and does. And so I've come to the realization, like I mentioned in that video about covert narcissism and discovering this about my mom a couple weeks ago, I've come to the realization I can't have a relationship with my mom, and I'm finally accepting that. But she she took the opportunity, amongst many of our opportunities in that exchange, of slinging nastiness at me. I have never known that I should not respond, but that's exactly what she trained me. That's how she raised me. That's what she taught me to do. That's how I lived my life up until that triggering job experience when I almost landed in a hospital. That extreme. It was to that point. I did not know what to do. I was just constantly being attacked and antagonized. And that's how my mom has been my entire life. So when she accused me one last time of talking about her and using God's will, because I said it's such a shame to her that we can't have a relationship like God intended, like a mother-daughter relationship should. She took my words like narcissists do and she threw them right back at me. She said it's a shame that I'm talking about her behind her back, and that's not godly. And I thought to myself, who have I talked to behind her back? I have not talked to anybody about my mom other than my husband and YouTube in many years, probably 5 years, 4 years, 5 years. And I remember distinctly, probably about 6 years ago, my older brother asking me via text, what's going on with my mom, and is there anything he can help with? And at that time, it was before I got into counseling, and I texted him back that I am not going to talk to him about my mom and I's relationship. And I didn't get upset. I wasn't wound up. I just was not going to talk to him about my mom and I's relationship. But ever since I got counseling, I still haven't talked to others about my relationship with my mom. I've been trying to get healthy myself and fix myself in order to understand my mom and why she is the way she is, and carry only the burdens that I'm responsible for and not her burdens. And only recently have become aware of the full scope, because now I feel 100% sure that I know what's going on, why my mom behaves the way she is. She meets all of the criteria if I were to go through the list. But we all know, if you're here, you are familiar already with narcissism. But when she slung that accusation at me for the umpteenth time in that exchange, it's like the light bulb went on and I went, what? And I said to her, you're right. It's not godly that I talk about you behind your back to others. And in that moment when I responded that, I was thinking of the Bible quote. And if you're not familiar with the Bible, I'm sorry. I'm not one of those Bible thumpers that has all the chapters and verses memorized. I just know what it says. And the Bible instructs us to go to a person that we feel has wronged us and talk to them. Tell them what you're feeling or thinking and try to reconcile it with them. If they are wise, if they are a fruitful, good person, they will respond to you in a manner that's open and inviting healing for both of you and understanding that will allow you to come closer together. So in that moment when my mom accused me of talking about her and I responded, you're right. My intention was, what I meant is, you're right, Mom. I am supposed to go to you if I have a problem with you, but I have gone to you for 45 years and you don't change. You're not accountable. What else can I do? Meanwhile, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I haven't gone to anyone else and talked to them. And I told her that. I said, you're right. I shouldn't talk to others, which is why I haven't. And then she accused me of trying to bait her which is actually what she was doing by slinging all of these things at me, these nasty messages at me. And then I stopped corresponding with her. So ever since that message exchange, I've been carrying the guilt and the shame of hurting my mom. Of course, when you're an abuse victim, you can do nothing wrong and you'll still carry guilt and shame. I've been carrying this undercurrent of guilt and shame. And even though I'm aware of and know that I didn't do anything wrong, I haven't talked about her behind her back, but what was plaguing me since I dropped that vlog is that it wasn't wholly true what I said to my mom. I told her that I haven't been talking about her. And it's true that I have not talked to any other person other than my husband about my mom. But I've been talking to you, YouTube. And I've been worrying and stressing and panicked about whether or not my mom saw this channel or stumbled across this channel or was told about this channel by some other family member that stumbled across it, and how hurt she is. And I felt responsible for how hurt she is. So she's saddling me with this responsibility and this burden of guilt and shame and, oh, I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't do this. And then it hit me. What am I doing? I'm trying to protect myself. I'm trying to defend myself because my goal in this channel is only to help others. It is not to make a buck. It's not to make a name for myself. It's not to tear anybody else down or to exact revenge or anything else. It's because I have suffered long enough in my life. I've been through a tremendous amount of pain, and I think it's avoidable. I think we can fix the rampant problems with mental health because my intentions are pure, because my heart is good. There's nothing wrong with me talking to the web about my mom because I'm not trying to bring her down. I'm not trying to hurt her. My mom is in her upper 70s. No one knows her. We don't live in a metropolis where she would have this big social circle, and if someone found out about her secrets, about the truth of my life growing up, that her reputation or her business or anything would be destroyed. My mom doesn't work. She's retired. She lives in a little senior community. There's nothing that she would lose. She's not rich. She has no big stash of money, nest egg somewhere. She doesn't have property. There is nothing that my mom would lose if it got out, if it became public that her name was being dragged through the mud, if that makes sense. There's no risk. There's no risk, except perhaps the piercing of her pride. And that's evil. So when we're talking about guilt and shame and what's godly and what's not godly, I had to carry this for several weeks to get to the point, full circle, where I'm like, wow, I'm doing a godly thing by trying to help people, by sharing my testimony, which is true. I'm not a liar. I don't tell falsehoods. I don't gossip. In fact, you've heard me how many times on this channel talk about how it drives me nuts when people don't know the facts before they start sharing stuff. It makes me crazy. I don't do it. That's not me. But my mom is convinced that I'm talking about her, slandering her, telling lies, bringing her down, and that's her pride talking. I have pure intentions and I have a good heart, and my goal is to help. It's not focused on her, it's not focused on my family, it's focused on me and others and how we can be better and break generational trauma. So who's being the godly one in this scenario? The person who's slinging false accusations and hateful words and deeply focused on pride and ego and what she could possibly lose, or the person who really doesn't want to hurt others in her family but really wants to help others by sharing her story in hopes that others will be able to heal as well, and sharing love and kindness and gratitude and peace and grace and forgiveness, all these godly things. And I had to get to that point. I had to come full circle and deal with the weight of guilt and shame of talking about my mom instead of going, you know what, Mom, you're right. I shouldn't talk about you if I'm slandering you or saying untrue things. However, it is a true statement I'm talking about you, but I'm not saying anything that's not true. And if that's a problem for you, I'm sorry. You're going to have to figure out some way to deal with it. I'm not going around to my family or anyone else slandering my mom. I'm just talking to YouTube to try to help other people that are struggling from their own abuse. So my advice to anyone dealing with guilt and shame, first, is there an element of truth to what you're being accused of? Think about it. Take your time. Take weeks, take months, before you accept and carry the blocks of guilt and shame on your own shoulders. Secondly, if it's true, then find out what your intentions were. If you're accused of something that you did do, but you had the best of intentions and you did it in love and you had a pure heart and your conscience is clear and you've reconciled with God, or if you're not spiritual, you've done some soul searching and you're 100% sure that your intentions are pure and you did not mean to hurt them and you've tried to apologize and yet you keep being falsely accused or accused of having some sort of filthy, derogatory intention, then you do not need to carry that blame. You banish that guilt and that shame from your mind and from your heart. It's not yours to carry, it's theirs. So I hope that video was helpful. We're going to get back to gaslighting in video number 3 very soon. And I hope you're doing well and having an awesome day. Take care. Bye.